This is the Brazoria County Minute. And now the host of the Brazoria County Minute, Christen English.
Hi, I'm Christen English. I'm a local real estate agent, and I am here with my guest today, Ceseli Slovacek. I practiced it just now.
Slovacek.
In the Alden Dow Museum in downtown Lake Jackson. And I've asked her here today to talk about just some, mental health, situations in general that we see people dealing with. And in her particular business, this is something that comes up a lot. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, so as she said, my name's Ceseli Slovacek. I live here in Brazoria County, and I own Shri Yoga School. And, I've been in business for almost 3 years now. And again, there's been a lot of conversations come up around just overall health, emotional health, mental health, physical health, and
because it all ties in together.
It's all connected, and that's what I was going to say. I've learned that it's all connected. You can't have one without the other.
Right. So, focusing on one area is not going to fix anything because everything's all connected.
Right, and you're neglecting the other parts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, because it's a whole. So, I've just learned so much about this, and I've worked with so many different people, and just learning that there's so many common threads within all of it.
Yeah. And I think so many of us are dealing with so many of the same things. Mm-hmm. And so you can feel so alone, and just, knowing that other people are dealing with similar things can be very helpful.
Absolutely. And that's even a conversation that comes up often. I host women's healing gatherings and things like that. And people always say it's so nice to know that I'm not the only person experiencing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It makes you feel sometimes when I'll get in my head about something, I'll think, oh my gosh, am I just losing my mind? And then getting somewhere and talking with someone, or getting online and reading about it and realizing that no, this is a common thing. Mm-hmm. It makes you feel better. Okay, I'm not losing my mind.
Yeah. And then having those conversations with other women as well. And it's wow, you feel so supported and so nurtured, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and, you focus a lot with women, but you also work with men too. Mm-hmm. And I think that what I've found is, some of these issues are not gender specific. You've got men and women dealing with the same sort of things. They may manifest in different ways in their lives, mm-hmm. but they're the same types of core issues. And so what are some of those core issues you see people coming up with, that they're really struggling with?
Ooh, anxiety is a really high one.
Mm-hmm.
Really
just generalized anxiety.
Just anxiety in general. Depression as well. But I would say anxiety, stress, and then in the body, the physical side of it, back pain.
Yeah.
It's really symbolic too of the back pain is you're carrying the weight of the mm-hmm. world on your back,
right. Yeah.
So
and that's the thing is we talk about it all tying in together. So mm-hmm. if you have anxiety, there's a reason why you have anxiety, and your body is responding, letting you know by back pain and things like that. Mm-hmm. So it's indicators that something else is wrong. And a medication isn't necessarily going to fix that. It may mask it. It may help a little bit, mm-hmm. but you're still going to be dealing with the issues.
Right. And this is the holistic approach,
right.
holistic health, right? So it's mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. They all come together and create the whole.
And this is something you and I are both very passionate about.
So passionate. I could talk for hours on this stuff. And
I've been my own guinea pig,
Yeah,
and I know you have too.
Yes.
Going through and saying, we're speaking about this stuff from experience.
Personal experience.
We have done this work mm-hmm. within ourselves.
Yes. We'll just stick with anxiety, but for myself, grief has been a big one too. I lost my husband about 2 years ago, and my dad passed about
recently,
2 months ago. So I'm wow, here I am again, just sitting with the grief, and, it's human nature. We don't like to feel pain. We don't like to feel anxiety mm-hmm. or feelings in general. We're gross, no, ew. Yeah. We push them down, we shove them down, we mask it. We all have our own vice, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's just further causing more issues. You're stuffing it into your body. So your emotions actually get trapped inside of your body.
Yeah, and I've recently found that the root of some anxiety that I had when I explored what it was actually trapped emotion. So I was having an emotion come up that I obviously, like subconsciously didn't want to feel for whatever reason. And when I would just like driving down the road, nothing was absolutely wrong, no problems, just living my life, doing what I needed to do that day, and a random, like these overwhelming feelings of anxiety. Why? What is it? But then whenever I sat, what you said, sitting with that, exploring it, what is this? Going through all the things, what could be wrong? Finding that, oh, wow, I actually have some emotion about something that I didn't even realize I had. And then the anxiety left and I dealt with the emotion, whether it be some grief or some regret or some sadness over something that I hadn't taken the time to process, stuffed it down and moved on. And it was still there all along, being held in my body.
Yep. And, we've been taught that like emotions are bad, like little kids, like stop crying and, suck it up, walk it off. Yeah, all the things. And we're not taught how to just like feel the emotion, let it pass through. It only takes 90 seconds to process an emotion.
Love that.
If you just let yourself be mad for 90 seconds or cry and be sad or whatever it is for 90 seconds, it's gone.
And that's so true. Several months ago, you told me that, and I began to practice it, and it sometimes I don't even think it takes 90 seconds. I mean, it's just, it'll flow through. Like it'll just
Quickly.
be gone. Yeah. And I won't even, I'll move on to something else and forgot that I even was upset about something.
And emotions aren't bad. They're just a frequency. It's just an energy.
Yeah.
So like sadness, heaviness, grief, shame, those are at the lower end of the spectrum. They're heavy, like we've all experienced some sort of depression or sadness, you can relate, like that's just heavy. But on the other end of that, there's like joy and happiness and love.
And we want to stay up here, but we can't if we ignore what's down here.
Exactly.
It's experiencing that, bringing it up.
To allow you to come even higher. And that was something that I really experienced in my grief process. I just kind of let myself sit in it and just cry. I was like the saddest I've ever been. But through that process, now I like look at life so differently. And I'm like, it's so beautiful. And I'm happier than I've ever been, but it's like, it's the spectrum.
I think sometimes when it comes to, feelings of sadness, wherever it comes from, whether it be grief over a loss, grief over regret, grief, whatever reason you're feeling sad, I think you can be afraid to let yourself fall. It feels like a slippery slope, like that you might just drown in it.
Yes.
And the truth is you won't. You'll just sit in it and then you'll come out of it.
Exactly.
And the next time you feel it again, you just sit in it. But it can be a scary feeling because it can be so overwhelming. And if you've never allowed yourself to just feel sadness, then you can be afraid of it because it can be scary.
Yep.
So,
and then the more you suppress that sadness, and it's really just a fear, like you said.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
now the fear actually is what the anxiety is, and the anger. It's just fear.
Right. Well, and you mentioned anger. Another thing that I think people suppress because they don't want to feel it is anger. We don't want to be angry, right? So let's say that something happens that makes us feel angry. We don't want to be mad. Like we'll feel bad. Oh, I shouldn't be mad at that person, or I shouldn't be mad at that situation. And so we suppress the anger.
Yep.
But anger is also an emotion that needs to be released.
Yep.
And it's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel angry, and just, obviously be mindful of what you do with your anger.
Sure.
Right?
Right,
But
of course.
hey, if you need to sit in your car and, shout out loud about how angry you are for a second and let it pass through, you're going to feel a lot better. But if you are suppressing that, that's going to come out in health.
It explodes
physical, yes.
when it comes out.
And you're going to explode at the wrong person at the wrong time.
Exactly. I don't know. It's just so fascinating how it's all connected. And I've really been exploring the emotional highs and lows.
Okay.
Because, again, it's on the spectrum, but we're addicted to pleasure and we push away pain, right? But now you're on this like extreme highs and lows, and now you're addicted to this like
absolutely
up and down.
Just as much as you can be addicted to pleasure, you can be addicted to pain.
Absolutely.
So your pain then becomes your pleasure because you're so you're enjoying that low, because then comes the excited high.
Yep. And it's just a nervous system response.
Absolutely.
Your body is just responding. It's not like you're doing anything wrong or doing anything bad. Your body is just responding. And then you create patterns and habits, and then now it's just subconscious. So you wake up and you live like the same day every day, extreme highs and lows. And when you hit that low, now you're like, oh, damn, this is bad, or however we word it,
Right.
and now I need to get back up here.
Because we've labeled it bad.
Exactly. It's not bad or good. It just is, right? So now we become addicted to this, and that's a whole nother issue as well, right?
Yeah. Well, our nervous systems are really just running off a program. However, we have programmed our nervous system to behave. And, something that I had read was, you aren't, you're not a body, you're in a body. And that really is something that I remember, or I have to remind myself of when I'm having, a nervous system reaction, where I'm like, oh no, what's going on here? And I'll stop and think, is anything actually wrong? No. My body is just running off of a program.
Yep.
It's running the way that I have programmed it, and then I have to reprogram it, that I don't have to have a physical reaction to things that I'm not actually having an emotional reaction to. That it's just my body responding to the way that I've programmed it.
Exactly. And it can take a while to deprogram that.
It really can.
You're triggered and then you've always responded in a certain way. So now every time this thing happens, now you're just responding.
Right.
But what I've been training my students is create some space. You're triggered. Okay, stop before you just react. Take a breath. Okay, get grounded. Decide how you're going to respond.
Absolutely.
And that starts to change everything.
I've been asking myself why a lot. Why am I responding this way? Is this actually what is happening? And even I might have a conversation with someone and then walk away from that conversation and reflect on it and feel anxiety about it, as if maybe I said something wrong, or they said something that hurt my feelings or whatever. But then when I give myself some space and I think about it, and I replay it in my head, I realized that nothing actually happened. It's like a nervous system response to being a people pleaser for so long that I'm just used to react. My body's just like, oh, we had a conversation. Now it's time to react this way with anxiety and overthinking. And in reality, when I pulled myself away and just gave myself some space to go back, it's like playing the replay tape, after a sports event, they replay. It's like replaying it. Oh, actually nothing happened and everything's fine. So I can tell my body, my nervous system, to just settle down.
It's okay. Yeah. And that's perfectionism too.
Yes.
I don't know for myself how it showed up is when I'm teaching or holding space for groups of people and I'm like, damn, I didn't say the right thing. And then afterwards, same thing. I'm just in my head and now I'm judging myself for not doing it right or whatever. And I'm let it go.
Yeah.
It's not that serious. Next time, okay, maybe have some bullet points, do a little different, whatever, but it is what it is. It's already done. It's in the past. It literally does not matter.
Because the truth is, people are not as hard on you as you are on yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. I've even had that conversation with one of my students. I'm pretty, we're friends, and she's, pretty spiritual as well, and I'm really vulnerable with her. And I'm like, damn, I'm kind of beating myself up a little bit. And she's like, nobody even realized that happened.
Yeah.
Nobody
absolutely.
even knew that happened.
Absolutely. Yeah, because most people are so concerned with their own experience that they're having that they're not thinking about everything that you're doing. They're not nitpicking you because they're having their own experience.
Yep.
They're also thinking about how they're relaying themselves. They're interpreting your conversation from their own filters.
Yep.
So, yeah, these are all really great points. I think that so many of these things are so important. And I think the goal of this, having you on today and going through these things really is to just let people know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
If they're struggling or if they're realizing some of these things, reach out to either one of us or anyone that is dealing with some similar things and have some accountability. As I'm working through this process, I have people in my life who are also working through it, and we can call and share those things with each other. Just last night, I had taken some space to go through a conversation worked through it. And then I had a friend call me. She was also doing the same thing with something that had happened on her end with someone else. And she was talking with me about how she was processing it. And we just kind of shared and encouraged each other in that. And so it's really nice to have people like that. So surround yourself with at least a couple of people that can do that for you.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's hard too. Like when you first start this journey and you're like trying to be better and you're trying to grow and evolve, the life you've created, the people that are surrounding you currently might not be those people.
Right.
You know, so that's what makes it feels really alone when you start this like healing journey.
It can.
You know,
Yeah.
and then but over time when you start to like really like step into your authenticity and find your truth and speak your truth, sometimes people fall away, but that creates space for more new people,
Absolutely.
more supportive relationships to come in, and it's really beautiful.
Yeah, and you know, for me, like I used to hold on to, I had a hard time understanding seasons, and I would hold on to places or people or things because I didn't want to let go because they had been important to me at one time. But you know, just like as you know, little kids grow and they outgrow their clothes, and you have to get new ones. It's okay. That might have been your favorite shirt for a while, but you'll get a new favorite shirt.
Exactly.
And it doesn't mean that you don't love and cherish those relationships or places or jobs or, you know, towns you lived in, whatever, but they served a purpose, they served a season. And it's okay if you outgrow that, you know, it doesn't make them bad or anything like that. It's just that it's time to move on. And then you, like you said, make space for new people to come in and you just grow, and it's beautiful.
It really is. And it's a journey. It's a process.
Absolutely.
You know?
It never ends.
Yeah. And then speaking of that, you know, we kind of talked about the whole happiness piece the other day. And that's just another thing that's really been on my mind is like, you know, we're humans, right? We're like, okay, well, I hate my job and I'm not happy and I'm going to go find a new job. But it's all in your mindset. So if you're not happy with like where you currently are, the next thing isn't going to make you happy. It's finding that in your like day to day and like, what can I be grateful for right now?
Yeah.
What can I like really be happy about right now? And then over time, that's like a snowball effect. It'll like, you'll keep seeing more and more and more of that like manifesting.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, a few years ago, I was in a church service and the special speaker mentioned the idea of that when we like thinking of from a place of lack, that you know, you think you need something, but the truth is you already always have everything you need. I knew that she was saying, and like it resonated with me. I knew that it was true, but the concept of that was not setting in because I was like, how? I can think of things that I have that I need, I don't have right now. But along the journey, what I've realized is exactly what you're saying is that, you know, you think that your happiness is because or your unhappiness is because you don't like your job or whatever. But the truth is, you can find happiness within that job. It's already there. It's like you're changing your point of view with things.
Exactly.
And if you begin to practice in that way, like looking at the situation, okay, what am I missing here? And you begin to observe within that, then all of a sudden you'll find yourself changing your attitude toward the situation. And it's not about toxic positivity, like forcing yourself to like, I'm just thankful I have a paycheck. No, it's not like that. It's like maybe going to that job and saying like, how has this job helped me grow? How, you know, am I actually making more money than I would be if I worked at this other job? Or who in this job actually has taught me important lessons that I can take onto my future, and just really focusing on that. And all of a sudden you begin to see your attitude change, your whole like demeanor change. And then you're not as unhappy to go into that situation, and you fall into gratitude, which is a higher spectrum feeling.
Yes, I've really just been trying to live in that space of gratitude.
Yeah.
Obviously, you go in and out, but I've been saying recently, like, the more good you see, the more good you see. So, like, when you're more grateful, you just wake up in gratitude. Like, now you're seeing it everywhere, in everything, even the bad experiences or the challenges or the obstacles. Like, no, this isn't happening to me.
Right.
This is happening for me. There's, like, I'm viewing this as, like, an initiation almost.
Yeah.
It's preparing me for something bigger, for something greater. And it's just a learning lesson to like step into a higher version of myself.
Absolutely. It's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I enjoyed our conversation as usual. And I'm glad that you're out here, you know, helping women and men go through this process. And if anyone is interested, like I said, she has a local yoga studio. She's doing some circles, and she's got some other things going on too. So find her on social media, follow
Yes.
her, and see what she has going on. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
The Brazoria County Minute is brought to you by BeRemembered.us. Tell your story. Be remembered.